So in this session we are going to cover some of the motifs that we can use for mandala patterns. So the basic difference between a motif and a pattern is just that motif is a part of the pattern altogether. So just like we discussed the basic shapes in the previous session, they form the basic outline or the basically the area inside which you are going to draw the pattern. Now these are some of the motifs that we are going to discuss in detail, and when you draw this motif or a combination of these motifs, you are able to get a pattern. So for example, if I combine the second motif right here with the say 7th or 8th motif, so if I combine these two in different in different sizes or in different basically like the smaller or big size whatever, so if I just combine these two motifs, then I will get a pattern. So in the upcoming sessions wherein we are going to discuss all the simple, intricate and layered patterns, you will be able to understand this concept better, which basically the difference between motif and a pattern. So in this session we are just going to practice the motifs one by one. So for practicing the motifs, feel free to just draw a line and then continue drawing the motif again and again, so that there is symmetry that is maintained in the motif and you are able to practice better. So the first motif I have for you is the S kind of shape. You might have seen this particular motif in many traditional Indian wear, or in many traditional designs as well. This is a very common motif. So you can either use the S kind of shape in vertical or horizontal, whatever you feel good about. So we are going to practice both of this. So for drawing this particular motif, you just need to have to draw a circle and then a spiral. So start from any point. These are just motifs and you don't need to have a specific shape or specific size to draw these. Just make sure that the size of each motif that you are practicing throughout the line remains the same, so that you are able to maintain the symmetry. So for that, start from any point. Like it would be better that you start from the middle and draw a circle like this, a dot, and then continue, make it a spiral, and then go to the right hand side and again a spiral and complete it. So basically you are just starting from one spiral like this in this direction. Observe my hands carefully. So you started, you made a spiral, then you brought it to the right hand side, took it forward, and then again came inside. So basically this is the way in which this motif works. Now the same goes with the vertical one as well. So for drawing vertical, start from the upper portion, draw a dot and like this. So basically this is an S kind of shape. The easiest way to remember and practice this, that imagine the S alphabet and then draw the the motif and just tilt the alphabet S horizontally and you will get this motif. So now we are going to practice the horizontal ones and the vertical ones for each for like 4 to 5 times. So let's do horizontal ones. So round, spiral and come spiral. Now you can increase or reduce the width of the particular motif. Like if you want to increase the width, just increase it, just make it like a more further, and you can also reduce it to fit in a smaller space. So whatever you feel comfortable. So spiral. Now in this particular motif you have to make sure that this S, this spiral and this spiral, both of these spirals are equal to each other. So for example, if you are just making one, so now if you are just making one round right here, so make one round right there as well. If you want to increase the number of spirals, just increase in both the ways. So let's draw this. So 1 and 2. So these were the horizontal ones. Now the vertical ones would be like the S alphabet. Feel free to experiment with the the height and the width of the motifs as well. But when you are practicing, pick up a particular size and then draw it over and over again. So this was your first motif. Now the second motif again includes a little spiraling kind of shape. So for this, start from the middle portion. So basically this whenever you are drawing this motif inside a basic shape, you start from the middle of the basic shape. So we are going to discuss that in further sessions, so don't worry about that, don't get confused. So start from any point. Now make a vertical line and then bring it towards the left and round. Now you can increase or reduce the number of rounds. So now similarly, and this round. Now you can either leave this motif as it is, or since you have a circle right here, you can just color the inside portion. Now you can increase, of course you will not reduce the number of layers because it's just one, but you can increase the number of spirals that we are drawing for sure. So for example, 1 and 2 and 3, and the same goes here, 1 and 2 and 3. So if you want like a smaller circle right here, you can increase the number of spirals and just make the tiny round. So basically the spiral that we are drawing is very much similar to the first motif right here. So in this way you can increase the number of spirals even more. So feel free to do that and practice as per your choice. So we are going to practice this particular motif for like 3-4 times. So 1 and 2, 3 and this. Now make sure that when you are practicing, the height and width should remain the same. You can use the grid sheets or the square grid sheets if you feel a little confused while practicing the width and height. And at this point, if all your motifs are not the same to each other, so it's totally fine because you are just beginning. So make sure that you practice more and more so that it gets better every time. So this was the second motif. Now the third motif is again not exactly a spiral but very much inspired by the spiral, but we are going in different directions. So now we were going like inward to outward, right? We were going from the middle to the outward. So basically we were going from inside to outside. Now we are going from outside to inside. So just start from any point, round and 1. Now leave some space and do the same on the right hand side. Now these two shapes basically are connected to each other. You can leave it as it is, or you can just color these circles. Now to understand this motif better, just understand the basic formation. So we are just doing the spiraling thing only. Here we were going from inside to outside in both the direction. So inside to left hand side, then inside to right hand side, and here we are going from outside to inside in this direction. So this is the third motif. Now we are also going to practice this for like 4-5 times. Again you can increase or reduce the size of this particular tiny circle right here. Feel free to do that. So 1 and 2. So this is just some freehand motif practice, and it's totally fine if all your motifs are not same with each other, because once you practice these in the basic shapes like draw patterns, it will be fine in the further sessions. So this was your third motif. Now the fourth motif is a very cute heart kind of shape motif. You might have seen it in some traditional paintings or something like that. You might have seen it somewhere. So it's a very cute looking motif. So for that, what we do is we are trying to make a heart kind of shape. So we are not going to start from upward to downward. We are going to start from the downward point to upward. So start from this point, basically any point, and draw a curve and come inside, make a circle. So this is the circular kind of shape that we are making, is similar to the third one. It's just the direction is different, right? So again, 1, observe my hands, and 2. Now you can leave it as it is, or you can just fill these circles with the color that you have drawn. Feel free to pause or rewind and watch the process. If you don't understand it in one go, it's perfectly fine. So now we are going to practice this motif for a while as well, and also feel free to take a break if you need more time to practice. So 1 and 2. Again 1 and 2. So drawing this motif from the downward direction, basically from down to upwards, ensures the shape and the design that we are trying to create here. So this was your fourth motif. Now the fifth motif is similar to the fourth one. We have basically like upside down of this of the fourth pattern. Now why we have taken it as a a different basically a different motif is that because it gives you a totally different look, and also the drawing step by step drawing procedure is also different. So let's look at it now. Just like we started from the downward area, start from the upward area. So now we are going upward to downward. So basically just imagine it like there is a mirror placed below this fourth pattern, and you are drawing the mirror image of the fifth of the fourth pattern as the fifth pattern. So that would be able that would be easy for you to understand the motif. So start from the upward direction, round and circle. On the right hand side, round and circle. So this is the motif. So basically you can imagine it as an upside down heart shape kind of a motif. So we are going to use all of these motifs in different combinations for drawing different patterns in the further sessions. Hence we are practicing the motifs before we move on to all the patterns. So this was your fifth motif. Now the sixth and seventh motif are again kind of very similar to each other. So for the sixth motif, remember the second motif wherein we started with the middle portion and started with the horizontal vertical line. So use that logic only. So start with the vertical line, make a curve, and now you are not going to just complete it, just join it. So just bring it towards the outer side. So inside, round, outer side. Now for this motif we are not using any coloring etc, because usually when we use this particular motif and the upcoming, like the next 5 motifs, we usually color the background of the of the basic shape. So in the further sessions we are going to use it for drawing patterns, so don't worry about that. So this is just the curved kind of motif, and we are going to practice this for like 5 to 6 times. So curve and inside, round, outside. Feel free to experiment with the width and height of the these motifs. So this was your sixth motif. Now the seventh motif is again highly inspired from the sixth one. We are just going to start from the outside, like outside to inside. So again you can use the process that we used in the third pattern and then start. So start basically from the outer portion. So curve and curve. So the only difference between these two patterns is that we start from the vertical line and then curve. Now we are starting from the curve and ending also with the curve. So these two curves are parallel to each other. Now leave some space, and similarly on the right hand side. So these motifs remain like open from the end, because when we use it in the basic shapes, they form their shape and they are like joined from the outside part. So curve and second curve. 1 and 2. So this was your seventh motif. Now the 9th and 10th pattern, you can call them as floral patterns or inspired by nature. So this one, the 9th one, start from the the lower part and basically just imagine it as a water droplet but upside down direction. So that in that way you will be easy to understand that how the pattern is motif is formed. So start from this, make a curve and corner. So basically this is a upside down water droplet. Now we are going to draw the sides. So a little lower, come a little lower and draw it similarly. Now you can add as many side petals as you want. So you can either add like just one on each side, so it will be a 3 petals, or you can just add 5, or you can also add more. So for example, if I just want to stick to 3, it will look like this. And again, feel free to experiment with the width of these particular petals and the height as well. So now if you want more than 5, you can just reduce the width of the particular petals to fit in all the side petals as well. So in this way you can just experiment with the number of petals. We are going to practice the 5 petaled flower here. So 1, 2 on the right hand side and 2 on the left hand side. Again 2 on the right hand side and 2 on the left hand side. So this was your 9th motif. Now the 10th motif, as you can see that it looks like a lotus. So the process is very similar to the 9th one. You just have to make curved shape and conical on both the parts. So for example, in this motif, we started from this point but we made a curve. Now you just skip the curve part and make like a conical kind of shape. So curve and then curve. So the process remains kind of the same. You just replace the curve with a pointed end. Now for the side petals, similarly 1, 2 and 2 on the right hand side. Now again you can draw more petals or less petals, whatever you feel so. So let's practice this lotus 5 petal. So 1, 2 on the left hand side, 1 and 2. One and 2. One more time. So these were all the motifs that we are going to use in some different ways in the upcoming sessions. So feel free to practice these motifs as much as you want. Feel free to experiment with the size of the motifs, that is the height and width of each motif, and feel free to just look out for more motifs around you. I'm sure you will get inspired by the things around you or the designs or patterns that you see in your clothes or in some other painting. So feel free to do that as well.